Hello. Here we go. Good, perfect. Good. Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to present you the LSP spec. First, before I start, who has heard of LSP before? Please, hands up.
That's a music band.
Sorry?
That's a music band.
Yeah, close. Okay, who doesn't have a technical background? Who is a non-techie? Okay, good. No, good. Let's start. Today, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to present you what is an LSP at all. So for everybody that is not a techie, then I'm going to present you why are we making the LSP spec, and then I'm going to actually talk about the thing that I want to talk about, which is what are we actually speccing, and present this. I'm Severin. I'm a lightning engineer at Synonym. We create the BitKit Lightning wallet, if you've heard of that. And I think Lightning Network is a really nice and good technology. It just needs a little bit more love from the developers to make it perfect, to make it work seamless and flawless. And the LSP spec is one puzzle piece of that will hopefully improve the UX and the whole experience a lot. All so let's start. So we got a problem, and we're talking here about 2019 edition. So we're going to go all back in time, 5 years. And the problem back then was Lightning is too complicated. You could download the Lightning node, Core Lightning, or back then C Lightning, LND or Eclair or whatever, and then you set it up. But the big problem is my grandma has trouble doing Lightning channel management. She just can't do it. No way. Also, have you run a node on a mobile phone back then? Do you type in the node public key via keyboard? It's a bit annoying. It's a pretty long string. I would say sucks. And the goal back then was we want to make non-custodial Lightning as easy as an on-chain wallet, or even better. That would be good. That would be cool. And there we go. LSPs. LSPs have been created. What is an LSP? An LSP is the shortcut for a Lightning service provider. It's basically, it does channel management and liquidity management for you. So you don't need to think about anything. You just can use a wallet, and the LSP will do all for you for a certain fee, because the liquidity that is needed needs to be paid for, and the service needs to be paid for at some point. And this whole thing is non-custodially, so you don't need to worry about custody or anything. It's just everything is done for you. It's nice. It's good. And fast forward today, everybody has an LSP. Every app has an LSP. We have Breeze. They have their own LSP, and they communicate via gRPC. Then we have Phoenix. They also have the Phoenix app. Sorry. They also have their own LSP. They have a different protocol they use. We have bLIPs. They use the Dunder LSP. They communicate via the LNRPC, and we at Synonym, we have the Blocktank LSP that provides funds for the BitKit wallet and communicates via a REST API, and that's good. Today's Lightning wallets, they're flawless. Basically, I can just send a payment, receive a payment. I don't need to think about channels. Everything is abstracted away. It's cool. It's great. It's awesome. But as you already see here, it's a bit of a mess. Everybody is using their own protocols to communicate. Everybody has their own LSP software with own protocols, and the way they communicate is okay, that's yeah, we made progress. We make good progress, but so why is this bad? So today's Lightning wallets, they are basically LSP locked. Let's use BitKit. BitKit uses Blocktank, and that's it. You don't have a choice. That's just the LSP to use. There are ways around it. You can connect your own node to it, but then you're back to doing channel management by hand, which my grandma can't. And so why is it bad to have an LSP locked wallet? And the problem is, if you have a non-reliable LSP, but you like the BitKit app, the BitKit UI, UX, you learned how to use it, everything is good. If the LSP is bad, you need to switch the wallet and move all your funds over. Not cool. You can't just use BitKit with the Breeze LSP. That would be cool. Then you want to use two LSPs at the same time, maybe for better reliability or whatever. You can't do that today, or an LSP goes offline. Then, yeah, you're basically screwed for 2 weeks because your funds are locked up in an on-chain contract to get it out. And then you need to move over to another wallet completely. And yeah, using one LSP at a time has limited privacy. So every payment is sent over this single LSP, and the LSP knows exactly what payments you make. Just amount, not like destination. I'm not saying they do surveillance on you or something like this, but it's just not optimal. We could do better as Lightning developers and app developers. Oh yeah, it's kind of like a SIM-locked phone. Like you get a new phone and you can only use this specific provider. And it's like, it's okay, but it kind of sucks. So, what if every wallet was compatible with every LSP? That would be great. That would be awesome. Like basically when user can choose their LSP, you have a lot of advantages. You have increased competition between the LSP, which will hopefully bring out the best LSP service there is through market competition. A user can suddenly connect to multiple LSPs, which creates privacy. Then payments go over multiple LSPs, and an LSP doesn't know anymore, is this the only payment? Are there multiple payments? Is this the payment? Is this the full amount of the payment? Just, yeah, that's a lot of privacy. Then it's also from a wallet app point of view. So until now, I looked at it from a user point of view, but from a wallet app point of view, it's also great if we just have one single API I need to implement, and then I can talk to every LSP. As we saw before, we had such a mix of protocols that implementing multiple LSPs now is just an unbelievable task. Also, one thing that a lot of people don't think about, right now, a wallet is responsible for the liquidity they provide to the user. And as soon as we have, let's say, 100,000, a million users, that's going to be a lot of Lightning channels with a lot of funds in there. And then basically the wallet app turns into a Bitcoin fund, and I'm not sure developers want that. It's great to just focus on your app, and if you can outsource your funds to another company. And also, one advantage for us at Synonym is, so we can't, or we don't choose to serve US users. And the reason for that is just from a legal point of view, we want to be safe. And because of that, with the LSP spec, or with the LSP spec, we can provide US users also a good experience, because now suddenly another LSP, a US LSP or another one, can provide funds to our BitKit users. And we don't have any worries there anymore. It's kind of like magic. Again. Good. Let's come to the actual LSP spec. what is the LSP spec? So the LSP spec is a unified API for LSPs. And it works by sending direct peer-to-peer messages back and forth between nodes, like the same that nodes are already doing by sending gossip messages back and forth or payments back and forth. And these are here the companies that joined the LSP spec calls, and most of them are also actively developing and implementing the LSP spec. And as you see, it's quite a lot. So it is very well supported in the Lightning industry, and I believe it's going to be a big success soon. But that's only my prediction. Cool. And with the LSP spec, before I start explaining, we had one side goal. And this one side goal is that the spec should be implementable without the help of the Lightning implementation developers. So the Lightning implementation developers like Core Lightning or LND or Eclair, they already have a ton of work on their plates, like implementing Bull 12 and a lot of user requests. Hey, I want this feature, I want this feature. And our goal was to create an LSP spec that we can implement ourselves with the existing APIs to not burden the developers there. And it's also, from a timeline point of view, it's faster to do that instead of waiting on the implementation developers, again, that already have a lot of things on their shoulders to do that. Cool. LSPS1, LSP specification 1. It's the first thing we worked on. It's a channel purchase API. It's basically an API that I, as a wallet, as a client, can talk to the LSP and basically purchase a channel. And you can purchase dual from the channel. That's a bit technical. It means if you have a Lightning channel, initially you have funds on both sides. You have in less technical words, this is you have receiving capacity and you have spending capacity at the same time, which is great. You can to pay this channel, you can either pay on chain, or you can pay with Lightning payments directly. So it's the first API that you can use also Lightning payments with. Before, you always had to pay to create a channel. If there was a protocol, you always had to pay on chain. And it is ZeroConf compatible / turbo channel. It uses turbo channels. And this is technical again, but I will get to this one at the end of the presentation. It's basically, it makes sure so you can use this channel instantly instead of waiting for block confirmations. And yeah, we started to implement that. Yes, we're starting. So we basically all agreed on what we want to build and like how this API should look like and communication back and forth. And now the first party started to implement it, and as soon as the rule is, as soon as two parties implemented it and then did cross-implementation tests, and they're content with it, then the spec is finished. Cool. Now we got another problem to solve, and we have an onboarding issue. And this leads me then to the next LSP spec. And the problem with Lightning is you need a Lightning channel to receive Satoshis, to receive sats. But a Lightning channel needs to be paid for with Satoshis. But new users don't really have Satoshi's funds. So you get into this problem that new users can't onboard to Lightning because SATs are required to get a Lightning channel to receive Lightning. And yeah, that's a problem. And we solved that. Breeze pioneered it. We solved that with LSPs 2. And it is solved with so-called CHIT channels. CHIT stands for just-in-time channels. And here this slide, trying to explain just-in-time channels to you. And I hope I made a good enough job in doing it non-technically. Okay, I just need to somehow point. Or do you have? Ooh, yes, please. Bashti to the rescue. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ooh, perfect. Good. So this diagram here shows how CHIT channels work. So first you have the payee, and the payee, this is Alice down here. She just sold a pizza, let's say, and Alice creates here an invoice, and it's a bit of a modified invoice, but it's kind of it's a standard invoice with something added, and this invoice goes to Bob. Bob is the payer who just bought the pizza or is about to buy the pizza. And Bob here sends a normal payment to Alice. And what's important here, Alice doesn't have a channel yet down here. Like 0 channels, 0 funds. She's completely new to the Lightning Network. And Bob sends payment over the Lightning Network here, and the payment arrives at the LSP. And the LSP here sees, hey, no channel yet. So what the LSP does is it creates a channel on the fly to Alice and then forwards the payment directly to Alice on the fly, and Alice can accept this payment instantly. And the little trick in here is that the LSP doesn't forward the 100% of the payment, but the LSP deducts a channel opening fee directly from this incoming payment to Alice, and therefore gets paid for a channel open. And that's the whole magic of how we can onboard users that don't have any Satoshis yet. The only requirement here is that this payment here needs to be bigger than the channel opening fee, because otherwise the LSP can't get paid, he will refuse, and yeah, and so on and so on. Ah, yeah, exactly, yes. Oh, yeah, sorry. Hi.
How do I know the amount that needs to be written on this Lightning invoice?
Like what's the minimal amount?
Yeah, or do I because I would assume I don't know the required amount from the LSP for the channel opening.
Yeah. So you just create an invoice, let's say $20 for the pizza. Then Alice creates this invoice, Bob pays $20, and the LSP, this negotiation here is, with LSPs 2, it's done when the invoice is created, like the Alice and LSP negotiate a fee for the next hour or two, like how much the channel open will cost.
So there's a first communication between the LSP to create the invoice, and then in this moment I know the amount.
Yes. Yeah. So there are 2 versions out there. One version is you do it before, and the other version is actually on when you receive the first payment. Then right before, then the LSP is like a webhook, tells Alice, hey, I have an HTLC. I could forward this HTLC to you, but it costs so much money. And then Alice can like, okay, accept it, or Alice can be like, no, I don't like you, and just reject it.
Okay, but then the payment is rejected, and
The whole payment is rejected, and Bob needs to try again.
And Bob is hungry then.
Yeah. But maybe because the LSP spec supports multiple people, the LSP spec supports the wallet to have multiple LSPs, Bob might try the payment on another LSP that is cheaper. But yeah. Cool.
He has options.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea is that it,
But the microphone is just walking away.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So what happens when Alice perceives like she doesn't have any channels yet, and what happens then? She's able to spend immediately, or she needs to wait for at least one confirmation?
No, I'm gonna go into this on the last slide.
Okay.
So she's using so-called turbo channels, which I call here simplified channel on-the-fly channel open. And these are channels you can use before the first channel confirmation. But I go into detail more into this on the last slide. Also, what's the advantage and disadvantage for turbo channels. Cool.
I mean, still the whole idea is
Microphone.
sorry.
no worries. I said still the whole idea is that it stays atomic. So if anything in between, even if the Lightning Network decides not to route the payment, everything falls back to Bob. Nothing happened.
Yeah, basically. Cool. Cool.
So how instant is this open? How instant is this whole procedure?
This is instant.
Yeah. So also the rejection if it doesn't work, because that's usually a problem.
Yeah. The biggest latency you probably have going through the Lightning Network up here. Here you just have some network latency. I mean, if you're in like the mountains, then it might be slower, but it's pretty fast.
We did some tests on the turbo channel part, and it basically took like 500 milliseconds to get everything done, and even like spendable afterwards. That was quite fast.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It's basically you don't need to think about channels anymore if you have this technique. It's really good. Cool. Yes. Let's move.
Just one thing.
Yeah, it's okay. We have time. It's not.
Sorry. I mean, you have to think a lot about all of this stuff if you're an LSP. As the consumer, you are technically burden-free, but as an LSP, it is still a brain fuck.
How do you mean brain fuck?
I mean, you have to think about how much you overpay the channel and all the stuff the LSP stuff does. So it brings you like the convenience for the user. Yeah. That the user does not have to care about. Do I have an opening, a channel opening? Do I have to wait for it and everything? But the LSP part is still like hard to think about. You have to make a lot of decisions based on how much funds you have and so on and so on.
Yeah, I can make an example. This not LSPS 2, but LSPS 4, which is probably an upgraded version of LSPS 2. Is 1,600 lines long, and that's longer than any Bolt spec so far. So this technique, from like complexity point of view, LSP point of view, is annoying, but for the user, it's really good if it then actually works. Cool, good. Let me move on with the presentation. We can I can answer questions after. So that was LSPS 2, which is a great way to onboard new people. And now I want to move on to the next problem here. And the problem is Lightning requires you to be online. So when you have a mobile app, a mobile wallet, you can send and receive with the app when you have it open. But as soon as you put it into the background, then this app is basically put to sleep. And it's a bit annoying when I send an invoice to my friend via Telegram, and now I have to be there with my phone and just wait and wait and wait and keep it open, keep it active, the app, until I receive the payment. That is very annoying. And one thing, and we have LSPs 5, which should solve this problem. And what it basically does is it uses so-called silent notifications that wake up the phone in case of a payment. So we give the LSP direct permission to wake up the mobile phone, the app, to actually receive the payment. It's notification comes in, app gets waken up in the background. You get some around max 30 seconds CPU time. It's not 100% guaranteed, but that's usually what you get. And during this time, we can process the incoming payment and actually receive the funds on our side.
But usually as a user of an app on my phone, I can define whether I want to enable notifications for an app or not. So I could disrupt this solution, no?
Yes. At some point, we hopefully get something similar like what you have right now with like receiving telephone calls on the phone, like WhatsApp telephone calls. With these things, Apple can, and the developers can wake up the app directly without like notifications, nothing. This is an intermediate solution until we make Apple move, which could take some time. Long time if we are in bad luck. But this notification, you will not see a notification popping up on your phone.
No, I just mean it's not guaranteed, that's the problem.
Yes.
You have users who block all the notifications.
Yes.
Silent magic under the hood.
Yeah, but it is better than what we have right now, which is just literally we can't receive.
Hello. Why is that you need your app to stay open to receive the payments?
This is based on Lightning itself. You need to... How a Lightning channel works is you basically have Bitcoin transactions that are being exchanged off-chain, and these Bitcoin transactions need to be signed by both parties to be valid. And how Lightning channel works is like you just go back and forth with off-chain transactions, you create a lot of transactions, and at the end, when you want to close the channel, you publish this transaction, one of them, and you resolve the channel. And because both parties need to sign this transaction, you as a receiver need to be online and sign it. And you can't do it if your phone is turned off.
Is there also a spec at the Lightning protocol level that tries to solve the same problem?
Yes, there is. I mean, there is another approach. It's called async payments. It's how should I explain this? The payment gets sent to you as soon as you come online. So it's not sent to you when the users click send, but it's like hold up for a certain period of time until you come online. This works for a certain amount of time, but if you're offline for too long, it doesn't work. So both techniques are a possible solution to this problem. Both techniques are not perfect.
So there are some timeouts, right? So you're talking about some timeouts, yeah?
Some
timeouts.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
channel timeouts.
So I need to be online to publish the state of the payment, right here for this case.
You need to be online to sign the channel update.
Yeah, okay.
This
yes,
transaction.
yeah.
Yes.
But I actually would also need to be online to sign, like, or to create an invoice to be able to receive, right?
No, the invoice in theory you can do offline.
Because you're the signer.
You just need to send this invoice somehow to your friend. But if you're in a room, like in the mountains, and you don't have connection, you can create an invoice on your phone, show it via QR code to your friend, and then you don't need to be online.
Yes, but this involves some activity. Like, I need to be active in this part. It cannot be, I still need to create it and then show it, but assuming someone pays me and I'm running around, then I could not, does this spec also cover this use case, like random receive, I would say, without me presenting an invoice actively?
Yes. Yeah.
So it also wakes up my node on the phone and ask for an invoice?
No, there is something called key send. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Key send is a way to send a payment without any invoices, nothing. You just literally send a payment to your friend and he gets the funds, but doesn't probably know why he got the funds. For every payment that you receive, you need to be online.
But it only works for key send payments in this case.
Yeah, and the probably Bolt 12 will add something more when it's at some point. Yeah, in 10 years maybe. Good. I shouldn't be so pessimistic. Good. Cool. And the last point here, there is also an advantage for LSPs. So right now you have a problem. Everybody installs like a non-custodial Lightning app, and they use it once, then they never have a look at it again. And because they used it once, you have a Lightning channel open, and the LSP at some point wants to get back their funds that they have in this Lightning channel, and they need to close this channel to do that. And there are two ways to close a Lightning channel. One is cooperatively, where both parties communicate and they agree on the current state of the channel, and they split up the funds. That is fast and that is cheap. And there is the other way, when the phone is not cooperative. For example, when you uninstall the app, when you never come online, then it's so-called a force close, and force close are relatively expensive. And we can use these silent notifications to wake up the phone and actually cooperatively close the channel. And this will lower the cost for the LSPs to close the channel, and because of that, users will be able to purchase cheaper channels from the LSP. Cool. Almost lost slide. So before I mentioned turbo channels, and turbo channels are used in LSPS1 and LSPS2. And turbo channels are Lightning channels that you can start using as a user without any block confirmations. It's a regular Lightning channel, but you can send back and forth before the first on-chain confirmation. And as soon as you have the first on-chain confirmation, it's a regular Lightning channel as you know it, non-custodially. You don't need to trust anybody. But the problem, the downside of turbo channel is before the first confirmation, so the first 10 minutes, you need to trust the LSP that he doesn't screw you over. The advantage of a turbo channel is it is great from a UX point of view. The big problem is with Lightning is kind of like you download a Lightning wallet, you start using it, and to receive your first payment, you now need to wait at least 10 minutes for the first block confirmation. And waiting 10 minutes before you have the first success with a new app, that's the best way to lose users. And to create a flawless UX experience in UI, we are using turbo channels as a solution to that. In my opinion, it's great for wallets, like mobile wallets and everything, where you have your everyday funds on. Maybe don't use turbo channels if you move your life savings. Maybe wait for this one block confirmation. Well, yeah, that's just a little addition to the LSP spec, so you know what you're getting into. But it is great UX. You really, for my everyday coffee, I don't want to wait 10 minutes to everything, so everything confirms.
So you said you need to trust the LSP before you have the first confirmation,
Yep.
because of course you can double spend the TX, so you have to just to trust it, because otherwise you could lose the funds. And say I'm fine with that, but say after 3 blocks we get a reorg or something like that, how that's supposed to be handled?
So if we get a 3-block reorg, it's the same. Then it's kind of like it's back in the mempool, and you need to trust the LSP again. And yeah. So if you want to be really sure, wait 6 blocks, wait 100 blocks if it's $1 billion Swiss francs or so. Like, yeah, up to you.
Is the intent that the wallet implementers would show that a channel is a turbo channel or not to the user? Or we don't want to make, I mean, because I guess, how do I know as a user that I have a confirmation or not?
Yeah. I mean, it's up to the wallet developers and UI designers how to actually show this. I expected that usually in the default case it's not shown. But for example, in BitKit, you can have, if you go a little bit deeper into the settings, you have a channel list. And as far as I know, there should be block confirmations in there, and there should be a number in there.
And probably depends on the amount too, right? That's
In
terms of like, the higher the amount, probably the more likely you're going to get something telling you that you open a turbo channel. Are you sure you want to do that or not?
That would probably be good UX, yes.
Right, sounds good. Thank you.
Good. Cool. Oh shit, that's basically it from this presentation. If you want to contribute to the LSP spec, we have a meeting every second week at 11 a.m. It's on Thursdays usually. Right now, because we're a bit of in deep discussions, we actually have it weekly. Next one is not on the 6th of September, but next Thursday. It's weekly. And we have a Telegram group. If you text into this Telegram group, you can ask for a calendar invite, and then you're always up to date when the spec meeting is happening. Here is the GitHub that the spec is on. Here's the QR code. Telegram group, all the information is on here as well. Yeah, have a look, listen into it. If you want to follow Synonym on Twitter, this is the Synonym handle, and this is my Twitter handle.
How about the Telegram address?
It's scan this QR code for Telegram, and in the repository there should be a link to invite. Cool, awesome. Thank you very much. Somebody have a question? No?
So it's on Thursdays, you said?
Yeah, it's on Thursdays, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can you share which current LSPs are involved in the spec process?
Yes. I can show you the companies. Here we go. These are the companies that joined the LSP spec call. Most active, probably Blockstream, Breeze, Bold Observer, C equals, Lightning Labs shows up from time to time, Unity, Spiral, and of course Blocktank like Synonym.
And one more question. You mentioned peer-to-peer messages. Is it in the style of like Lightning peer-to-peer messages, or is it like more other peer-to-peer protocol?
No, it's the same encrypted protocol that the gossip is sent. That everything is sent back and forth.
So it's in a way extending the Lightning peer-to-peer protocol.
Yes, exactly. It's maybe for technical background, we're actually using a JSON RPC there, which can be used by other projects potentially in the future as well to send messages back and forth, which is, in my opinion, is making the developer experience on Lightning way better. Cool. Here and here.
If you were to just kind of use your own guesstimate, when would you expect that about, let's say, half of the LSPs here would have all these protocols implemented? Is it half a year, talking a year? Just...
So, LSPS1, maybe in a year. LSPS2, LSPS2, I would say year 1.5, something like this. And LSPS5 will take some more time because this is, with LSPS1 and LSPS2, we have a lot of progress already. LSPS5 is rather early. I believe it's a very promising proposal. That's why I presented it today. But we'll need to take some time there to get into the nitty-gritty details. So there, maybe 2 years, yeah.
So you don't seem to make over-optimistic estimations. I think the room was expecting to hear something about 2-3 months or something like that.
I've been in Lightning for long enough to not make too pessimistic predictions. But the actually the Breeze, and as far as I know, to my best knowledge, Breeze with the Breeze SDK, they are pushing for LSPS2 very hard, and there we might see it already in 3-4 months. Mm-hmm. It's just having half of the LSPs adopting it that just takes time.
Okay, so my actual question is, I'm not so familiar with the whole communication protocol. What is the stuff that is being achieved with the API in comparison to what you have already at the moment in the Lightning Network as communication protocol established? So is it something that instead of using that, you use the API, or it's the API is purely something in addition to what is there already in the Lightning Network? Yeah,
so Lightning messages right now are sent back and forth with TLV, I say like in the TLV format, TLV compression, like others look at it as compression, and we defined a JSON RPC protocol on this same encrypted channel. And it's just a different way to communicate that we use, in my opinion, a simpler way to communicate. And it's just different, let's say it like this. No.
It's the same stuff that can be communicated. So it's additional stuff that is not available on the other methods.
No, it's additional stuff. There is things that are communicated via the native TLV format, and there are things, the LSP spec, that is communicated with this JSON RPC approach that we use. Yeah. Cool.
Maybe a simple question: do you know which Lightning node implementation most of these LSPs are running? Core Lightning, LND? Or?
Yeah, I mean, Blockstream is Core Lightning. Breeze is using Greenlight, which is Core Lightning at the end. C equals is Spiral, Block Spiral, which is LDK, which I think is LDK as far as to my best knowledge. Lightning Labs is LND, obviously. Unity, I believe LDK, Spiral is LDK anyway, and we use LND. Good. It's 2 more minutes.
One more question. So when speaking of timelines, are we talking about time for implementing the LSP interoperability or the actual features? So talking about turbo channels, for example, it's about having the interoperability, so to be able to move from one LSP to another, keeping your channel.
I'm not sure. So moving from one LSP to another, you still need to close and reopen the channel. These timelines are more when I think these features, like these APIs, will show up in the wild that you as a developer can use them. I'm not sure if this answers your question.
No, my question is more like when you say 1 year, for example, is it about the interoperability or about the feature itself?
So interoperability tests for LSPS1, for example, should be done the next 6 months, in my opinion.
Yeah, but do we have existing implementations of turbo channels?
Turbo channels, yes. Yeah, turbo channels are in use already today.
Because maybe some of the people in attendance will not be sure if this is already an existing feature.
Yeah. The turbo channels already exist. We already use it in BitKit. That's how, like, chit channels is already used in Breeze, in BitKit, and in other wallets. What we do here is to unify this API to make a single standard and adapt and make it like interoperable, so you get all the advantages that I was talking about.
Like if you want to test turbo channels, you can download BitKit and do the tracking, and you get a scan code, you're going to receive sections.
Guys, you just tell me when I need to stop. Good.
Michael Shan. In the LSP spec 2 for just-in-time channels, did you solve, and if you solve, then how, the problem that LSP has to put some trust on the client when it opens a zeroconf channel, and that the client has to release the pre-image in order to the payment going through, and the LSP can deduct the payment and be paid for the channel.
So the LSPS2 has 2 different modes. It has a mode called LSP trusts client, and there is client trusts LSP. And the client and LSP needs to agree on one mode to make it work. And if the LSP, let's say under an attack scenario, I as an LSP wouldn't choose LSP trusts client. I think both modes will be used in the wild, but at the end, the LSP has a reputation, and the client already trusts the LSP to some extent with turbo channels. So I believe at the end, client trusts LSP will win. But that's my personal opinion and not the whole opinion of everybody in the group.
So with these 2 modes, it would be fair to say that by allowing or supporting these 2 modes, you'll basically let the market decide.
Kind of, yes. It's basically a negotiation between client and LSP.
Thank you.
Welcome. Cool. Maybe last question, like the microphone.
So do you think that the AnyPreval proposal and the L2 soft fork could be useful for LSP operations? And if yes, you as a synonym would push for this implementation in Bitcoin Core?
I don't have a qualified opinion about this. It's probably better if you ask John. He's way deeper into these things. Good.
Last but not the least. How about LSP's version in Minin? I mean, LSPS1, LSPS2. It means just extension stuff, like more kind of channels are being supported, or what do you mean under this?
I mean, LSPs, this number is just an arbitrary number for this specific API. LSPs 1 is the first one, LSPs 2 is the second one. Then LSPs 3, we cut this out because we agreed on we don't do this. So now it's LSPs 4. LSPs 4 is probably an upgrade to LSPs 2. And maybe in half a year, we're gonna renumber LSPs 4 and LSPs 5 to LSPs 3 and 4. Let's see. It's just the current numbers.
Sorry, I just could not get it. What does mean that number?
Nothing. It's just this is the first one.
Then
this
why
is the
we
second
should
one.
know about it?
Sorry?
Why we should know about it?
Because that's the reference you will need to look up in the repository.
Okay, so it's like kind of latest stable version, blah blah blah.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Good. Thank you very much. If you have more questions, just come to me here, and happy to answer them. And yeah, have a nice day.